A long, long time ago, the world was very different from the way we know it today. People had forgotten about God's love and kindness. Instead of choosing what was good, many people were hurting each other and doing things that made God very sad. But in the middle of all this darkness, there was one man who loved God with all his heart. His name was Noah. Noah walked closely with God, listened to him, and tried his best to live a good and honest life. While the world around him was filled with anger and selfishness, Noah's home was filled with faith and obedience. And because of Noah's faithfulness, God had a very important plan for him, one that would change the whole world. One day, God spoke to Noah. Imagine hearing God's voice so clearly that it feels like the whole world grows quiet just to listen. God told Noah that a great flood was coming, a flood so big it would cover the entire earth. This was God's way of washing away the evil and giving the world a fresh start. But God also had a plan to save Noah, his family, and the animals. "Build an ark," God said. Not just any boat, but a massive wooden ship that would float above the waters and keep everyone safe inside. God gave Noah exact instructions, how long it should be, how tall, and how wide. He even told him what kind of wood to use and how to make it waterproof. Noah didn't argue or hesitate. Even though there wasn't a single cloud in the sky, he believed every word God said. Day after day, Noah worked on the ark. The sound of hammering and sawing filled the air. People from nearby towns came to watch, laughing and shaking their heads. "Why are you building a giant boat in the middle of dry land?" they mocked. But Noah kept working, not for their approval, but because he trusted God's promise. His sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, worked alongside him, lifting heavy beams, fitting the planks together, and sealing every gap. The ark began to take shape, a huge, sturdy vessel, unlike anything the world had ever seen. And though the people around them still didn't believe, Noah knew in his heart that God's word was true. When the ark was finally finished, God gave Noah another command: to gather 2 of every kind of animal, 1 male and 1 female, so they could survive the flood and repopulate the earth afterward. Imagine the scene: majestic lions padding gently into the ark, tall giraffes lowering their heads to step inside, tiny mice scurrying across the floor, birds of every color fluttering in. Noah and his family cared for each one, making sure they had food, water, and a safe place to rest. It was a sight both beautiful and amazing, God's creation coming together in perfect order, ready to be protected. Then the day came. Dark clouds began to roll in, heavy and full of rain. God called Noah and his family to enter the ark, along with all the animals. As they stepped inside, God himself closed the great door. And then, the rain began to fall. At first it was a light drizzle, but soon the sky opened wide and water poured down in sheets. Rivers overflowed, and the ground disappeared under rushing waves. The people who had laughed at Noah now ran for high ground, but it was too late. The water rose higher and higher until it covered the tallest mountains. Inside the ark, though, Noah and his family were safe. The ark floated gently on the endless waters, just as God had promised. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain never stopped. The whole earth was silent except for the sound of the water. Noah cared for the animals, feeding them, keeping them warm, and making sure they were calm. It must have been hard not knowing when they would see dry land again, but Noah's faith never wavered. He knew that the same God who told him to build the ark would guide them to safety. And finally one day, the rain stopped. The sun broke through the clouds and the waters began to slowly sink lower and lower. After many weeks, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. But the earth was still wet, so Noah sent out a raven, then a dove, to see if the land was ready. The first time, the dove came back with nothing. The second time, it returned with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. And the third time, it didn't come back at all. Noah knew this meant the land was dry and ready for them to step out. After more than a year inside the ark, Noah, his family, and all the animals walked out into a fresh, clean world. The very first thing Noah did was build an altar and give thanks to God. And then God made a promise that still stands today. He promised never again to destroy the whole earth with a flood. As a sign of this promise, God placed a beautiful rainbow in the sky. Every time we see a rainbow, it's a reminder of God's love, mercy, and faithfulness. The story of Noah's Ark teaches us that even when the world feels uncertain, God keeps his promises and cares for those who trust him. But Noah's story is also a reminder for us today. Just like Noah, we can choose to walk with God even when the world around us seems to go in the opposite direction. We may face challenges or people who don't understand why we believe, but if we listen to God's voice and follow his ways, he will protect and guide us. Faith isn't just about hearing God, it's about trusting him enough to act, even when we can't see the whole picture. And remember, God's promise is for all generations, you, me, and everyone who believes in him. Whenever you see a rainbow stretching across the sky, think of the ark, the animals, the long journey on the water, and the joy of stepping onto dry land again. Think about God's love and the promise he made to never leave us. That promise still stands today. Thank you for joining us for this beautiful story of Noah's Ark, God's promise through the flood. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more amazing Bible stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon so you never miss a story. See you next time, and may God's promises fill your heart with hope every single day.